New York Republican Congresswoman and member of the House Ways and Means Committee, Nicole Malliotakis. Congresswoman, this has become all too familiar, a sight for New Yorkers, entire streets being occupied by pro-Palestinian, anti-Semitic protesters. With a ceasefire on the horizon between Hamas and Hezbollah, do you see this sort of dying down with this rhetoric, or do you see it only continuing because these people are so emboldened, especially by New York State leaders, New York City leaders like Mayor Adams and Governor Hochul?
Well, you got that right. I mean, these are individuals who clearly see that there are no consequences in New York and that they can do whatever they want. And perhaps they are arrested or given a ticket to appear in court. But even if they do go to jail, they will be released right back onto the streets. And if history is any indication, District Attorney Bragg will actually drop their charges. That's what we've seen happen over the years, whether it was the 2020 defund the police movement, in which individuals were rioting and looting stores and damaging NYPD property, whether it be the anti-Semitic activity that was taking place on college campuses all last year, or this year rather, or whether it be these types of disruptions at community events like the parade. Individuals say that there's no consequences, and that's why they do it. And so we need our district attorneys here in New York City to take these crimes seriously, to charge individuals and hold them accountable. And we also need the state to revisit its bail law. How many chances does somebody get in the state of New York? I mean, we see people arrested dozens of times, and yet they are released right back onto the street to continue wreaking havoc. That's wrong, but these are the policies that the liberal Democrats have put in, and they've made everybody less safe in our city and state.
And I caught a clip of one of the speakers at this anti-Semitic demonstration, and they were vocally concerned about this deportation policy for the incoming Trump administration. Now, I want to speak about Trump and his cabinet picks so far. There's a lot of ideological diversity in this group. You've got RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. You've got more established conservatives who are cabinet picks. Here's what CNN's Scott Jennings had to say about it recently.
I think Trump is not getting enough credit here for building an ideologically diverse cabinet. When you got everybody from Russ Vought, who's very conservative, all the way over to the pick for labor secretary is a supporter of the PRO Act, and somehow Randy Weingarten is happy about it. I mean, what he has done is, which makes me squeamish, to be candid. And so what he has done, though, is put together an ideologically diverse group of people to sit in a room and help run the government. And that's kind of how he won. His coalition was kind of ideologically diverse that elected him.
So, Congressman, one of those picks that Scott mentioned was Lori Chavez DeRemer for Labor Secretary. You've come out in support of her. She's a colleague of yours in the House. Yet there are some conservatives who are on the fence because of DeRemer's strong ties to labor unions and support for the Democrat proposed PRO Act. So do you believe these stances will be a problem for her in the Senate, or do you think she's going to have a relatively easy time getting confirmed?
Well, look, I think Lori is a member of Congress who was representing the views of her district when she was voting for particular policy. I think that she is a good member because she'll bring a diverse opinion to the cabinet, but also she understands, I believe, that, she's representing the president of the United States and that she is going to be implementing the policies of her administration. I think it's good for the labor secretary to be somebody who has relationships with unions and can sort of bring all sorts of perspectives to the president so they can hash out something that would be fair to everyone involved. And so I have confidence that Lori can do a good job in that role, and that she will represent the president and the country well. And I think, again, in the past, Republicans have been attacked for being too far to the right and not supporting labor. And I think it is really important that you have somebody who understands all perspectives, and Lori represents that.
Now, political roadblocks are not the only challenges that these nominees are facing, and over half a dozen Trump nominees, including someone you know well, Lee Zeldin, your former colleague in the House, they've received bomb threats and swatting attempts. Lee Stefanik, too, another colleague of yours from New York. President-elect Trump thanked law enforcement for their quick action in responding to these threats. However, do you believe the Biden administration should consider providing them with full-time security details, even though they've not been confirmed yet?
Look, I think that law enforcement has to take this seriously, and if it means providing security for these individuals until the confirmation process, then they should be doing that. I think that this is an attempt by certain people. We don't know yet really the details of whether this is a true threat. They say it was not anything that had substance behind it, but you really don't know until you find the individuals that are behind it. Was it a prank? Was it a serious threat? Could it potentially increase to one? And we have to take it seriously, because what they're trying to do, these individuals, is scare these people who are trying to make our country better, and they're trying to scare them perhaps from staying with this job and perhaps performing on behalf of the country. And we can never allow that to happen in our political system, where our government officials are afraid to do their work, or they're being threatened because they are making the tough decisions. And so I really urge the FBI and all our law enforcement to get to the bottom of who is behind this, so we can really see. And again, it comes down to consequences. There needs to be repercussions and consequences and jail time for making these types of threats. There have been too many of these threats against members of Congress, against other cabinet officials of Republican and Democrat Party alike. And yet we don't see arrests being made. Why? That is the question that we're asking. And I think that it will be different under a Trump administration. I think they understand how serious this is, considering the president himself was nearly killed twice.
And Congresswoman, I understand that you've tried to get data from the Department of Homeland Security on migrants being released in New York, and you've come up short. Do you believe that they're obstructing your ability to get that information? Because obviously the migrant crisis is really the issue that's the elephant in the room in New York. Democrats and Republicans have issues with it, and you're not getting the information you're looking for. What do you think's going on here?
Well, look, every day we're reading about crimes being committed by migrants that the Biden administration let in, and our mayor is forcing New York taxpayers to house in our city. And so we want to get to the bottom of how extensive this is. We know at the beginning of the year, there were about, at that point, it was 1,200 arrests already made. I think it's well in the maybe 5,000 range, but we don't know the extent of the damage they've caused, because the Mayor Adams administration refuses to release this data. I've been trying for over a year now, and then in February I filed a Freedom of Information law request to obtain this data, and they still have not released it. In fact, they've delayed it 3 times now. They keep kicking it down the road. They were supposed to receive it last in November, and now they delayed it again until March. It is ludicrous. You're forcing the taxpayers to house these criminals and gang members in our city, and you're not letting the extent of the damage that you've caused by making this decision. And so we hope that the mayor will be forthcoming, who will be transparent with the public, and that he will cooperate with the Trump administration to deport these dangerous criminals out of our city and out of our country.
All right, New York Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, thank you for being here, and we'll see you when you're back down in D.C.
Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.